Crockett races to stop the execution of a death row inmate convicted of killing his partner years ago. Forgive Us Our Debts was directed by Jan Eliasberg, who is the first female credited director on Miami Vice. For those keeping score at home, we've had 3 female writers thus far. It was written by Gustav Reiniger, and it's the first Miami Vice credit for both. In a flashback to 1980 Miami, Crockett talks with his partner, Frankel, about a case they're building against an armed robber named Hackman. Crockett drops Frankel off at his home, where he's greeted by his wife and children. Frankel's unnamed wife, by the way, is played by Donna Rice, former girlfriend of Don Henley, whose rumored affair with presidential candidate Gary Hart famously sank Hart's political career during the 1988 monkey business scandal. The doorbell rings, Frankel answers it, and he's shot and killed by a masked assailant. Back to the present, or to 1986. Crockett, who has shacked up on his boat with a beautiful blonde woman named Donna, who is played by All My Children's Teresa Blake, watches a news report on Hackman's upcoming execution after being convicted for Frankel's murder. Shortly thereafter, a priest contacts Crockett because he heard a confession from someone who claims he was in Daytona with Hackman on the night of Frankel's murder. If true, this means Hackman could not have killed Frankel. Crockett and Tubbs meet with Thomas Waldman, an ambitious prosecutor who is currently running for Attorney General on a firm pro-death penalty platform. Waldman is played by D.W. Moffett of Friday Night Lights. Waldman had built the original case against Hackman that had led to his murder conviction, and he refuses to reopen the case based on new evidence. From death row, Hackman, who is played by Guy Boyd, asks to see Crockett. While We Do What We're Told by Peter Gabriel plays, Crockett drives to the prison and pays Hackman a visit. Hackman, who has found religion while incarcerated, tells Crockett he didn't kill Frankel, but he was responsible for other deaths, so he's cool with his looming execution. The priest won't identify the parishioner who confessed, so Gina dresses up as a nun to track the license plates of people arriving at the church, while Trudy secretly photographs them. They narrow their search to Gus Albiero, a former cohort of Hackman's, who is played by Val Bisoglio of Quincy M.E. Crockett and Tubbs visit Albiero's chop shop to talk to him. Albiero, who is dying of cancer, claims that Hackman was indeed with him on the night of Frankel's murder. He didn't come forward earlier because he was angry that Hackman had an affair with his wife. Crockett visits Waldman again with this new evidence, and Waldman refuses once again to reopen the case. Shortly thereafter, Albiero is shot and killed by a mystery woman while Standing on the Outside by Meatloaf plays. Crockett finds a photo of a woman on a postcard in Albiero's possessions. Albiero's wife confirms the woman is his ex-wife, Felicia, the one who had the affair with Hackman. Crockett and Tubbs visit Waldman for a 3rd time to get him to reopen the case, and Waldman refuses for a 3rd time. The photo of Felicia was taken in front of the suggestively named Venus's Clam Trap food truck, so Crockett and Tubbs visit the food truck in hopes of finding her. As they're approaching the truck, they're detained by the FBI. Felicia and her husband Barkley, who is also a former cohort of Hackman's, are in the witness protection program. Castillo pulls some strings and puts Crockett and Tubbs in contact with Felicia, played by Olga Karlatos, Prince's mom in Purple Rain, and Barkley, who is played by character actor Bill Raymond, who was the crime boss known as the Greek on The Wire. Hackman's execution is mere hours away, so Crockett beats the crap out of Barkley, tries to drown him in his swimming pool, and threatens to reveal his protected identity to the criminals he put away with his testimony. Barkley finally confirms that Hackman was with him in Daytona on the night of the murder of Crockett's partner, but he let Hackman take the rap for it anyway because he was sleeping with Felicia. In case there's any confusion, Hackman, Barkley, and the late Albiero have all slept with and or been married to Felicia. With just minutes to go before they flip the switch on the electric chair, Crockett gets the governor to sign a stay of execution based on this new evidence. Outside the prison, Hackman thanks Crockett for getting his conviction overturned. And then he's picked up by Felicia and Barkley. They're all in it together, including the terminally ill Albiero, who agreed to let Felicia kill him. Hackman was guilty all along, and he tricked Crockett into opening the investigation to get him free. The character of Frank Hackman will resurface once more on Miami Vice in the 4th season episode Deliver Us from Evil. Getting Hackman released from prison will set in motion a string of events that will ultimately lead to personal tragedy for Crockett, but we'll get to that in time. Let's pop back to the scene where Crockett beats up Barkley to force him to admit he was with Hackman on the night of Frankel's murder. We've seen Crockett lose his temper often enough, but this is the most violent we've ever seen him with someone he's interrogating. Stakes are high, he's racing against the clock to save the life of a man he believes is innocent, But even still, we see Crockett acting in a way that is, by any metric, police brutality. We can look at this in a couple of different ways. An overarching theme of Miami Vice is how working close to Vice for too long will ultimately corrupt or destroy you, and maybe we're seeing the first signs of corruption in Crockett. However, we're given no indication in this episode that we're meant to think that Crockett has taken it too far, and no indication that his violent behavior is out of character for him. We don't, for instance, see Tubbs take him aside and tell him to take it down a notch. We don't even see Castillo shoot him one of his magnificent glowers of silent disapproval. The series seems to be taking the standpoint that Crockett's behavior is justified in this instance because he's doing it for the greater good, i.e. to save Hackman from execution. It's probably part of the grittier and more realistic approach to the show that Dick Wolf instigated when he took over from Michael Mann at the start of the season. We're certainly seeing Miami Vice take an ends justifies the means approach this season, which is in contradiction to its prior perspective, which is that Vice cops are never above the law. I'm not going to get bogged down in an examination of which approach is better. It was Dick Wolf's prerogative when he took over the show to change up the status quo, and his approach resonates with a lot of viewers. Many people prefer Season 3 to Season 2. But it's interesting to note the differences in the approach to our main characters this season, and to track the ways it changes the series overall. Otherwise, the logic behind Hackman's scheme to get himself sprung from death row is kind of brilliant in an entertainingly nonsensical way, and the ending, where Crockett realizes he's been manipulated by the guy who killed his partner, is very effective. I'm giving this one 3 flamingos. Next time, the Vice team loses one of their own as a series regular departs the show. Thank you for joining me. Please subscribe to my channel or find me on Twitter to talk about the show, and I'll see you here next time.